All right, here we're going to take a look at a video of John acceleration mechanics for the first 10 yards. The video on the left here was taken on July 22nd, and the video here on the right was from September 6th of this year. Over these about 5 weeks, we've been working on a couple things for John. His projection, meaning how far can he get his hips to travel per step. John is a frequency runner. He has high turnover rate. His legs spin a lot, but there's not a lot of distance covered, so that's something we've been working on. And then we've also been working on his switching. How well does he drive one knee forward and the other leg down and back? John's a very strong young man, and getting him to now orient his force in a better direction so he can use it better is really what we've been working on. So I apologize. The video on the left here was taken at 240 frames per second, so it's a lot slower than the video on the right. So I can't cue it up to exactly, but I'll try my best. So taking a look at John's first step here on from July, and you can see right off the bat that he's got some roundness going on here with his back, which is a sign that he's got some hip tightness. You can see that he doesn't have great extension there with his left leg pushing back, and his foot's off the ground, but it's not super high off the ground. One thing I'd also like to point out is there's a little marker here on the ground, which you may not be able to see in these videos. That marker is 3 feet in front of the line. And so what I look for is how far do the hips travel by the time the foot touches. And as you can see, his first foot touches right as his front foot touches right as his back foot leaves the ground. So there's not a lot of air time. To me, this is more of a ground-based runner. And like most young athletes, his front foot hits the ground out in front of the hips, and then we spend time to travel over that. And what we've been trying to work on with John is getting him to attack the ground better, orient his force back and down better. And we can see also that where this red dot is on the left, which isn't great camera work on my end, but his hips don't travel too much further from the front line, as opposed to, here we'll take a look at just this week. We can see much better extension of the back leg. We can see back position is much better off here on the video on the right. We can see his thigh is much higher. He's got a lot more space between his foot and the ground. And one of the things I want to get you to look at is watch the direction of his leg work down and back. And you can see it attack back. And then what also happens, which tells me if there's good switching or not, is there's very little space between the knees. The less space, the less time it takes to have one leg travel forward, one leg back. And as you can see on the video on the left, as soon as his foot touches, his back leg is just getting off, and there's a tremendous amount of space between the knees. Right, so now we'll move on to the second step. All right here with his right leg at toe off, left leg traveling forward, and we can see again rounded back posture. We could also see that his back knee barely wants to go past his hip, which tells me something's going on, lack of hip extension, which is going to inhibit his ability to disperse power, because the glutes are the major extensor of the body. Where we look here at the second step for John, knee travels past, much greater extension from head to heel. Strong as steel is a phrase you often hear with track coaches, and we can see that John on the left here is not very straight. Here on the right is much better. Thigh height looks great. Switching, again, attacking back and down, very little space. John does a pretty good job here on the left, switching, right? But we also have some compensations going on with the lack of hip extension and the rounded spine. Here, going to his third step, right? Again, much better position of the spine. Hip extension's much greater, so he's getting his glutes more involved. Better thigh spread between his legs. So again, getting longer strides. But longer strides don't mean, and there's a misconception, longer strides mean his foot's landing, he's got to land further out in front, which is not what we want. We want the foot to always land as close to underneath the hips as possible. We want more spread, and then we want to travel over, where once that foot hits the hips are pretty close to on top, right? And we can see here now, I'm not particularly, this is a work in progress, happy with John's third step here. He just kind of falls, doesn't attack, as opposed to here, he does attack, right? We'll go to the fourth step. We'll just look at the first 4 steps. He goes back to kind of shortening up the extension, but it's still better at toe off here. Thigh height looks good. Everything looks good. You can see also in relation to, because the camera's in the exact same spot, John's body is further out in front in relation to, unfortunately, that trash can behind him compared to the video here on the left. So we already know John's further out in front per step. And again, nice switching action here. Attacking down and back. Down and back.